I moved to the UK a couple of years ago from the States, and I have to say, in all honesty, I am absolutely chuffed to be using the word chuffed correctly in a sentence. So, thank you. Glad you guys are laughing at that. I bet one of my geezer mates 50 of your quids. I don't fuck around, I do my research. No one's taking my piss out of me. My piss, my body, my piss. So good to be in front of a crowd again. It's been a rough week. A couple days ago I lost my part-time gig working at hen parties as a Philip Schofield impersonator. Some of my friends will say to me, Mike, you've been in the UK for 4 years, can you do an English accent? And I tell them I would never attempt to do an English accent, largely because I grew up watching a lot of horror movies. I like sci-fi, I love time travel, so the only English accent I've ever been able to do is pretty useless. It's that of a cranky Victorian coachman. But I break it out sometimes on the escalator behind the tourists who don't know how to stand to the side. I get right behind them and I go like this. Make way! I said make way! There's one impression I've been working on, and I'm getting really close to breaking it out, like when I'm on a train and it's too crowded and I want to sit down and it's just jam-packed with people. I think this is what I'm going to start doing. I'll go like this. Get back. It's happening again. I'm changing. Made a little room for myself. I picked up a bad habit when I moved to England 4 years ago. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was frustrated a lot. I got lost all the time. And I started growling. It's true, I'm not making this up, I started growling. I was very frustrated, I wasn't using my big boy words, and I started growling. 3 weeks into the move, I moved here in early 2018. Things turned around in a weird way. I was at a bus stop, and I realized I had a long way to go. I'd been waiting for the wrong bus. It was bad. It was like midnight. I'm looking at the phone, and I let out a growl. And I was just kind of like, Arrgh! And I thought, oh shit, I should have made sure I'm all alone here at the bus stop. And there's this old man reading a newspaper, and he goes like this. Arrgh! And I realized I'm gonna be okay in this town, I'm gonna be alright. There's a place for me here. Once all those Marvel movies came out, it reignited my love for the Hulk. I love the Hulk. And when Hulk gets mad, fellas, you know what I'm talking about. Hulk yells, Hulk! Smash! Yeah, and it rubbed off on me where I started speaking in third person whenever I got mad. And I'd be like working on the computer, I'm like, Mike, no make weak password. I got married late in life a couple years ago, and when I met my wife's family for the first time, as we were about to go through the front door of my wife's parents' house, my future in-laws, she goes like this, I don't want you speaking in third person when we're in there. And I said, Mike can't promise that, don't ask him. Recently, a friend of a friend was fired from the Walt Disney Company in Burbank, California. I don't know what happened, none of my business. But I like to picture on this guy's last day at the Walt Disney Company, he comes in, the light is blinking on his voicemail, and he's got a message from Mickey Mouse, and it sounds like this. Big changes lie in store for you. Make sure to see Kevin in HR. Just I love to picture things. I love a good story. I moved here from San Francisco, California. I'm originally from New York, but I was living in San Francisco before moving to London. I would see this guy once in a while on the late night number 71 bus. He dressed in black, he never spoke, and I only saw him maybe twice. But here's the thing, he would just hang on the railing glowering at people like this. So I was like, oh great, there's a vampire on the bus, let's just work. And I was hoping if he ever spoke, that his voice would be like this. In the last 500 years, many men have tried to destroy me, and they've all died unpleasantly. That's the voice I wanted him to have. But then the bus bounced around, I heard him go like this. Oh, you stepped on my foot! He ruined everything. I love that people are traveling again. I'm hearing a lot of travel stories. I love a good travel story. And I found something common to every good travel story that I've heard. It's when the traveler gets to this exact moment of the travel story. And then we met this Australian guy That is the best part of any travel story. It doesn't get any better than when the Australian guy shows up. It could be a great story, and it just gets better. It could be like this. And when I woke up, I was all alone in the tomb of the Sultan. The tour group had left me behind. There was a cut on my face, all my money was gone, and some jackass had given me a neck tattoo, branding me as an assassin for the mob. And then I met this Australian guy, and shit got crazy! I love, my favorite tough guy by far has to be Sean Connery. It's such a treat for me to be in Scotland. I love Sean Connery, he's my favorite James Bond. Because I'm a James Bond fan and I like train travel, I've always wanted to fight some guy on an overnight train in an exotic location. Right, fellas, have you seen From Russia with Love, Spectre, Spy Who Loved Me? I've always wanted to fight some guy on an overnight train in an exotic location. The closest I ever came was on a late night train out of Manchester after a game got out, and a drunk, crazy, shirtless, fat dude sat down next to me and fell asleep on top of me, and I gently got out from under him without waking him. I do love, I really truly love trains. I don't know what it is, I love trains. I watched a great documentary on the tube system in London, and there was something very interesting and kind of sweet where at some point they changed the Mind the Gap recording to a kinder, gentler recording, but it used to be this kind of imperious Mind the Gap. And in the documentary, the widow of the guy that did the voice long ago, his name's Oswald Lawrence, he died long ago, he did the recording long ago, but she prevailed upon the tube system, please, leave my local station, I want to be able to hear my late husband's voice. It was very sweet, and in the documentary it shows her sitting on a bench listening to that booming voice. They kept it in one station, in the Embankment station, for her. And she's sitting on the bench listening, and the documentary shows her just, Mind the Gap. Oh, that's my Oswald. And I almost got a little choked up, and then I realized half a world away there's probably a widow somewhere in New Jersey, a New Jersey Transit train station, listening to her departed husband's voice, and he's like, New Jersey Transit strictly forbids spitting on the train floors between 3 and 3:15. Well, that's my Eddie. He hated spitting on the train floors. I had a great chat with a hiker on a train. This is a guy from Austria. And he and I were chatting about hiking, and he said, I hope you'll give thought to hiking in the Alps. And I said, oh man, I'd love to hike in the Alps one day. And I said, we've got great trails in Northern California that overlook the ocean. Maybe you'll give thought to hiking on California's Pacific Coast trails. And he goes like this, oh no, I could never hike in America. And I said, why? And he goes, oh, because of all the snakes. And I said, that's just in the old cowboy movies. You're far more likely to be shot. Statistically. Does anybody know the very corny American baseball anthem, Take Me Out to the Ball Game? Yeah, it's very corny. It's 100 years old. It's just like, take me out to the ball game. I passed this German band. This is a true story. I passed this German band, and they go like this. For our beloved American guest, we'll play your beloved baseball anthem, You Will Be Taken Out to the Ball Game. Swing and a miss. I love movies. I'm a movie junkie, and I'm very fussy about the trailers. We've all been lied to, right? The trailers look amazing and the movie's horrible. This is what I do. I don't watch the full trailer. I just skip ahead maybe 35, 40 minutes into the movie, and I look for a moment that resonates with me emotionally. For example, I love a war movie where this happens. Someone goes like this. Ah, shit, I was so worried about you guys. Hey, where's the colonel? And someone answers him like this. Oh, I love that. I love that. I love also a political thriller where this happens. Somebody goes, you did the right thing telling me. Who else knows about this? Oh, I love that. I love that. If I have to watch the trailer, I look for only one thing. When the narrator of the trailer does this. Until now. Oh my God, I love that. It could be the dumbest plot in the world. Militant Dutch botanists have never seized control of the White House before. Until now. Whoa! He was a lonely lighthouse keeper with a tortured past, struggling to win the heart of a pastry chef girl who's been targeted for assassination by cyber terrorists and sexy vampires. Until this Australian guy came along. Because I'm intuitive, The way I am with trailers, that's how I was with the vaccine. I didn't do any research. I just went by the name. I got AstraZeneca. I was pleased to get it. It sounds like it came from the 25th century. Like, Captain, that signal appears to be coming from an abandoned space station in the AstraZeneca system. I didn't want Moderna because it sounds too much like a perfume commercial. Moderna. The new fragrance. I didn't want that. Johnson & Johnson frightened me because that company is 125 years old. You know what that means? It means they fought off every single lawsuit that has sought to take them down in a century and a quarter. If you grew a tail, they could lawyer up and fight it. And I know if this conversation happened anywhere, it would be Johnson & Johnson, where there's an executive like this. If I understand correctly, the scientists in the lab have engineered a vaccine side effect that leaves a scar in the shape of the Johnson & Johnson logo. I like it. I like it a lot. Who else knows about this? I learned a lot since I moved to the UK. I grew a lot. Like in San Francisco, I was a pretty healthy, pretentious guy. California is very pretentious. I'll give you an example. There was an old woman trying to cross a busy street. And I was a Boy Scout. I know what you do when there's an old woman at a dangerous intersection. You help her cross safely. And I ran over to help this woman, but when I got close, I saw in her pale, bony little knuckles, she was holding a cigarette, and I thought to myself, fuck that, if she's not serious about living, I'm not gonna help her cross the street, no way, man. But recently I passed a bunch of school kids at a bus stop, and they were probably like 8 years old, good kids, about 30 kids. Here's the weird thing though. They were all on their phones, they weren't clowning around, it was very weird, 30 kids, all like this. And I was like, oh man, this is weird. There should be horseplay, there should be giggling. They're kids, what's going on here? This is bad. They're not gonna have interpersonal skills, which means no teamwork. We're fucked, this is so bad for the human race. And I literally, as I was passing the end of the bus stop, I was like, give me one little sign, just one little sign. And as I passed the very last kid, he wasn't on his phone, he was just struggling to light a cigarette in the wind, and I thought, oh thank God. We're gonna be okay, we're gonna pull through this. You guys have been a lot of fun. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the show.